guys? It's your boy Luke here for our Sentry Tournament of Champions Draftkings value plays. These players priced $7,500 and below are going to give you some much needed salary flexibility to pay up for some of the studs this week. And oh boy, do we have a ton of them, because it's the Tournament of Champions. It's the best players in the world. Small, no-cut event. And overall, a lot of people we want to try and jam into lineups. So we'll have a good mix here of some guys in the 7K range, but of course, some of those dumpster diving plays down low in that low 6K range that'll help you fit in an extra stud or two. So with that being said, let's hop right into it here with our value plays for this week. We'll go ahead and start at the bottom of the board. First off with Eric Van Royen at $6,100. Somebody who has a very good game for this type of golf course, most specifically with his off the tee play. If there's anything that he struggles at, it is going to be that accuracy. He tends to blow up a little bit more than your PGA Tour average player, and a lot of that comes down to the accuracy. When there's a lot of water in play, hazards where you're taking penalty drops, re-teeing, that kind of thing, he really gets himself into trouble. Here at this resort-style golf course at Kapalua, where we have the largest fairways on the entire tour, he should definitely be able to get away with that. In terms of his distance, he is well above the PGA Tour average there, which should pay some dividends at this type of venue. He's also well above average in terms of his iron play. That's really what I'm looking for in terms of the ball striking. Guys that can hit it a long way, also stick a lot of their irons and wedges close, and really separated him towards the end of 2021. And that fall swing was the putting. He started gaining prolifically with that flat stick, and if he can continue that kind of momentum with the putter here into 2022, could really try and make a name for himself. So at this type of event, it's not like we expect him to go out there and contend for the win, but for him to go out there and post a top 10 this week, particularly with his prolific birdie or better type numbers, that would not be a surprise to me. So in these DFS formats at that kind of price point is a great value pick for some of these large field tournaments. Next up, one of my core plays for this week, so not a surprise to find him on this list as well. That is going to be Cam Davis at $6,200. Much like our first pick here, very cheap, going to give you a ton of flexibility. In terms of the course fit, a little bit more appropriate. The metrics bear that out. There is the number 23 ranked player in the field out of 40. And in terms of his distance, same type of story as EVR. Has the distance we're looking for, might struggle with the accuracy from time to time, but in terms of his irons and his putting, definitely going to be able to get the job done. What makes him a slightly better play than EVR is the consistency on the greens. With Cam Davis, he's always been a relatively good putter. He has his good tournaments, he has his down tournaments from time to time, but at the end of the year, he's going to be gaining at least a quarter of his stroke putting in pretty much every single year. That has improved over time. In fact, last year, gained a third of a stroke per round putting, which was a significant increase from what we've seen over the years. And if he continues that trend going forward, with the type of ball striking that we've already seen from Cam Davis, that win last year is not going to be his first. Really like his aggressive play as well. High birdie or better percentage player like an EVR. The around the green play can certainly be an issue from time to time, but much like an EVR, that is also a little bit mitigated here at a resort course. You're dealing with greens that don't have a ton of slope in terms of elevation. You're not dealing with greens that are raised for the most part. Most of them are at least level with the ground, maybe a foot or two raised. Whereas at some of these other golf courses, particularly in Florida, you're going to have raised greens everywhere. And like at the Players Championship, for example, maybe even the Open Championship over there at Kiowa, that's where you see him lose a ton of strokes around the green. So like him as a core play here, obviously going to like him as a value play, especially at $6,200. At number 4, somebody who bucks the trend of these first two golfers for sure is Billy Horschel, somebody who has a reputation for being a shorter hitter, but that wasn't really the case there in 2021. His average driving distance went up over 4.5 yards to his career average, but it doesn't seem that drastic, except that he was already averaging 301 yards. He was at 305.5 yards last year, actually putting him in the top 35% of the tour. So if distance isn't going to be an issue for Horschel, we already know that he's an iron specialist, one of the best putters, particularly on Bermuda grass on all of the PGA Tour. And towards the end of last year, particularly in some of the events without shots gained metrics, really started to play well. We saw him compete at multiple of these fall swing events. So as a result, I know we've had 5 weeks off here. That data isn't necessarily the most reliable, We know that he should be a good course fit here. And again, I think he gets that rap as one of the shorter hitters on tour, and that just isn't necessarily the case. Sure, earlier on in his career, we probably could have given him that distinction, but with some of that added speed that he's added to the swing, really makes him an intriguing course fit here at Kapalua. Moving on to number 3, and these top 3 value picks really just head and shoulders above the rest in terms of their talent. At number 3, Seamus Power is going to be the custom model play of the week. Pretty much anyone in the industry, if you're taking a look at any metrics to speak, really, it doesn't even matter how you're doing your weighting. He's essentially excelling at every single category. Seamus Power is going to show up. He's $6,600 in terms of points per dollar, easily the highest projected player on the slate, and the course fit's great as well because he's somebody who tends to struggle with some of that accuracy off of the tee. So we get that mitigated with the resort course. He's also a very high birdie or better percentage player. He has a very well-rounded game. Towards the end of 2021, these last 3 months, was gaining across all 4 major statistical categories. Really not anything we can say about him that's negative here. To me, it's egregious that he's priced in the $6,000 range. He could very well be $7,800 or $7,900 in this type of field and still have been priced fairly, in my opinion. He's somebody who, over time, you're going to see the betting numbers catch up to him. In this type of field, you're going to see him closer to 100 or 151, which makes sense for right now. But in a year or two, don't be surprised if he's closer to 50, maybe even 75 to 1, like a Mark Leishman, that kind of thing. He's eventually going to start to get that kind of respect. He won last year, competed in 2 or 3 events, was in contention to win. It would not surprise me this year if he added another win to the ledger, perhaps even 2. Could be somebody, like a Brendan Todd, like a Harris English, that nobody was expecting to go out there and have a huge year. He's putting up the metrics that show that he's that type of golfer. So here at the Tournament of Champions, even though it is a huge step up in competition, I look for him to assert himself as a great play. At number 2, we have another core play that is going to be Max Homa at $6,700. If you guys saw the Core Picks video already, it's not really the numbers that are pointing to him as being a good play, just more of the pedigree of player that he is. He's somebody who steps up at some of these larger tier events. The Riviera, the Fortinet, not necessarily a marquee event, but we had some real guys there. John Rahm showed up, a few other guys in the top 10 there. It's not really the hidden giggle that something like a Hero World Championship or something like a Bermuda Championship could be. That win at Riviera, obviously a marquee event on the PGA Tour, and his skill set should translate well to this type of venue as well. He deals with a little bit of accuracy issues off the tee, which you can see is definitely a little bit of a trend with these guys down low. We know that everyone here is going to be a good ball striker, more than capable of making their fair share of putts, because everyone here has won a golf tournament. To win anywhere on the PGA Tour, you have to have your irons. You obviously got to be making your fair share of putts as well, unless something freaky happens and you're chipping everything in. So Max Homa, he's won at these type of huge events before. He's not going to be scared of the moment here. The skill set, like we've already said, if he's going to be dealing with any type of issues, it's usually off of the tee. Very stout with the irons. Around the green has gone a lot better than what we've seen in the past. In fact, he was gaining strokes on the field towards the end of 2021. And the putter has always been lights out. It's a little bit hot and cold for Max Homa. So much like Eric Van Royen, adds a lot of volatility to his game. Anytime we're in one of these large field tournaments, we're taking somebody in this 6K range, we should be trying to embrace that volatility. Golf's a volatile sport as it is, so when we're trying to take guys that might be a little bit riskier than others, I'd much rather be doing that in the 6K range than with somebody in that 8K or even 9K range, like perhaps a Jordan Spieth, where he has a really wide range of outcomes, perhaps even a Patrick Reed as well. Real wide range of outcomes. Pretty much anything can happen from them winning the golf tournament to finishing dead last. We want to take those shots down low, at least for golf. That's the way that I found a lot of success here. So Max Homa fits the bill there, has the prerequisite skills to go out there and have a big week, and I expect him to go out and do so. And now finally at number 1, Mark Leishman at $7,500. He's right on that breaking point there, at the tippy top of what I would consider a value play on the slate. I considered putting him in the Core Picks video. Harris English, because he won last year, has that course history bonus there. Just edged him out, but I was going to make sure to cover him here, and this is where we're going to go ahead and do so. In terms of recent form or course fit, really checks both boxes emphatically. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the things really pushing him towards being the best play on the slate here. First off, his fall form. I mean, he was in contention 4 times there in the fall, and really throughout all of 2021 looked atrocious. I mean, if you're looking at any type of metrics on him, especially towards the beginning of that year, had nothing working, whether it was the irons, even the putter was broken. But to see him in contention so often, especially towards the end of the year, that is a great sign for Leishman, because historically, this is somebody who's one of the best putters on the PGA Tour, can get extremely hot with the irons, and you guessed it, if he's going to have any type of issues, it's going to be off the tee. So much like a Max Homa, a Billy Horschel, an EVR, a Cam Davis, not very accurate off of the tee, but that is not going to be an issue this week. And it's not like Mark Leishman lacks with a lack of distance. He's somebody who still hits it well over 300 yards per drive. So for me, a great course fit here. And really the cherry on top is some of his performances at courses with undulation. You know, a Houston Open at Memorial Park, or more importantly, the Masters, where he saw himself in contention just 2 performances ago. So really like a lot of the comp courses that we've seen. He's somebody who's a creative player by instinct. He's talked about that in the past. So coming in at number 1 for our value plays will definitely be a core part of my build for this week. That is all I've got for my value picks here for the Tournament of Champions. Go ahead and let me know down in the comments who you guys are targeting as your favorite value pick this week. Maybe it's somebody I talked about. Maybe it's somebody completely off the board. But whatever the case is, would love to hear from you guys. Just make sure to go ahead and comment that down below. And as always, really appreciate you guys stopping by and enjoying the content as well. If you guys haven't already liked the video or subscribed to the channel, highly recommend you guys go ahead and do so. The like will help us out with growing the channel here, getting the news out to more people, which will help me out personally, and I'll appreciate that. But subscribing, even more important. That way you guys don't miss any of the content I'm posting. We're going to have fades and sleepers coming out tomorrow. But more importantly, on Wednesday afternoon, we're going to have our live stream. As of right now, I'm expecting to go live right around 4 p.m. So make sure to keep an eye out for a link to that. When it's posted to the channel, I'll make sure to have a link down in the description of this video. But on there, we're going to be talking weather, my player poll, be going through my projections, any questions that you guys have down in the live chat. So if you're trying to decide between players, want me to do a deeper dive on someone that I didn't touch on in any of my videos, you can go ahead and do so for you guys there. So make sure you guys stop on by for that. Make sure you like and subscribe if you guys haven't already. Good luck with all of your lineups for this week, and let's get this cash.